Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Trayvon Smith, and you're tuned into YouthLINE Live. If you guys are new to our show, we air every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Channel 76, and our goal is to give you information and resources through technology platforms. And today we have a topic and a guest that is very important. First, let's introduce our guest, Kriz. Hey, what's up?
Hey, how you doing, everybody? It's a privilege to be on the show with Trayvon, my childhood friend.
Hey.
Big shout out to Chalk and all the community services out in the Bay Area.
Yes. So if you don't know who Kriz is, he is he's somebody that works in the community. You want to explain who you are a little bit more?
I'm a youth policy leader.
Right.
My designated job is to work with undocumented people and help them make sure that they get the resources they need to receive.
Yeah. So today's topic, we're going to talk about the power of influence and accountability. Now, accountability is something that we all need to have with each other or within ourselves, right? We don't need to beat ourselves up too much about all of our wrongdoing and stuff like that. Kriz with the Herschel backpack. But honestly, we gotta actually just take ownership over the actions that we do. And the definition of accountability actually is the quality of state of being accountable. What does that mean? An obligation or willingness to accept responsibility or take account of one's actions. Kriz, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What is your definition of accountability?
Accountability, to my knowledge, means to take responsibility in your action.
Right. And whether they're positive or negative, right?
Correct.
And what are some examples of in situations or places that you need to take accountability?
When, for example, right now I go to school. I'm taking college classes, CCSF, and one thing that I needed to be accountable is my homework. Mm-hmm. When it's, let's say, an assignment is due, I need to make sure I do it on that date. And if I don't do it, there shouldn't be any excuses unless it's an emergency, which most likely is not the case. So I take accountability for it.
Right.
And it turns out to be a percentage of my grade, but
Right. We got to stay on top of our homework and on top of stuff, because if we don't, then we slack and then we procrastinate and then we stress, and then it's not a good situation or a place to be in. So here we have some examples of taking accountability. One thing, number one, is to familiarize yourself with who you be, as I would say, or the role that you play with other people. What that means is that you gotta realize who you are to somebody. You're somebody's uncle, brother, or sister out there, cousin, them, they, whatever you wanna.
Right.
Say that you're somebody, right? And that has power and that has influence. You gotta realize what influence that you have on other people. It's easy to forget that, right?
Right.
Even though sometimes you don't realize the influence that you have on other people. Like celebrities, they didn't realize when they want to do music and when they want to act that they're going to have a huge impact on other people in different ways. Like they might think okay, they're going to see me as this person that does this character in the movie or that makes this album or something, but they don't realize okay, it's much more than that. Like people see you as a role model, or they see you as this public figure or this personality. Can you tell me how do you feel about taking on a role and being a role model and just knowing who you are to other people and that influence?
I feel that when you're in a role model position, you should do nothing but positive things. I'm not saying you're perfect, but try to minimize your flaws, because you got people behind you, mm-hmm. good or bad, they're gonna follow, and there's enough bad things in the world.
And also, what happens if you slip up? What would you recommend doing? Let's say if you
take accountability.
Right.
That's what I would recommend doing. For example, right now I got a bunch of nephews and nieces, and every time I slip up, I make sure that I let them know that I slipped up. And I apologize for it, and I let them know that there's always room for improvement,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no such thing as perfect, and
Right.
that it's okay to mess up. It's not the end of the world. As long as you get back on your feet.
Exactly. You learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
That was moving. Okay. But just to reiterate, you always got to remember who you are and the role that you play, whether that's at home in your personal life and also at work too, because you just gotta. Sometimes your power and your influence can lead others.
Right.
Pretty much all the time, actually. Also, another way of taking accountability is managing your time wisely, and that goes for everybody. Because I'm not saying that I have the most perfect or most reputable time management skills.
Right.
I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Sometimes I'll be late today, and so a little bit. But long story short, you gotta realize that how you manage your time is important. For example, sometimes we think, oh, we have to be at school at like 2 p.m. today, right? We're gonna try to aim to get there at 2 p.m. But that's when class starts.
Starts, correct.
So you should aim to get there earlier than that. Maybe like at 1:50, 1:45 or something like that. And that's one way of managing your time wisely, right? Or for example, like you think that you can just leave the house in 15 minutes because someone's down the street. You never know what's going to happen. Like you try to get on the bus real quick and then the bus breaks down. You're like, oh shoot, I'm about to be late. And trying to just not procrastinate and just try not to run down on time. That's an important part of managing your time wisely, and basically time management. Can you elaborate more on good time management and how your time management skills are?
Well, my time management comes from my career coach. I used to have a horrible time management problem. Yeah, it was horrible. So a lot of these smartphones nowadays got calendars.
Yeah.
So whatever I gotta do tomorrow, the next day, next week, I start stuffing it in my calendar, and I set up reminders. And yeah, I try to be 15 minutes early to any appointment that I gotta do. But again, today I was a little late.
No, but you kept it. The best thing that he did was he actually kept in contact.
Yeah.
Yeah, she said something. Most people would just be like, forget it. Like, we just gonna show up. And that's a good thing that she actually kept in contact and you actually said something. Because most people don't actually respect that. So,
thank you.
But yeah, that shows good dedication in time management skills. You're actually trying to do something versus just in the wind. So also remember that even when it comes to your homework assignments or when it comes to work deadlines or something, to make sure that you try to aim to get stuff done earlier than on time. Right. Then you might slip up. And I'm speaking to myself right now too, because sometimes I'll be running behind on everything, and I try not to, but sometimes you can't.
Stuff gets overwhelming, man. Stuff gets overwhelming, especially when you got a tight schedule. Like a lot of people that work and go to school. That's where the time management, becomes difficult.
And there's some things you gotta do to get money out here.
Yeah, on top, man. You gotta make sure you go to work and get some rest. Love yourself.
Self-care. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Self-care. And that leads us to the third one, actually, is be as organized as you can.
Right.
Remember that of course, like Kriz said, you're not a perfect individual. You're not going to have everything down 100%. There's always going to be bumps in the road. There's always going to be, hiccups and different mistakes that you can make. But you gotta also remember how to keep yourself organized where it won't happen that often, right?
Correct.
One example is keeping a calendar, right? Making sure you're logging everything in and setting your reminders to be there, like at certain times so you can get places. Also, making sure that you set your schedule to have a little bit of room for you can travel or, commute time. Also, remember to schedule in, like if you're a student, to have study time instead of just doing everything at the last minute, 30 minutes before class, or doing your essay the night before, and so that's really important. Can you give our viewers any tips on how to organize your time that you've learned over the years?
Well, I'm still organizing to this day,
Right.
I'm still organizing. I use the calendar, but sometimes that doesn't work. what helps me the most is I relax. You know?
Right.
I take a step back and I don't get overwhelmed, and I breathe in and I breathe out, and I try to get everything, you know, in a visually. I visually try to do everything done, you know, so I could be like, okay, so you know, it's not the end of the world, you know. I may be late to this thing,
Right.
but I promise I won't be late to the other 3 things I have to do, you know.
Right.
So, you know, yeah, because I think that your organization is all mental, you know, like it's when you lose control, when you give up and you say, oh, screw it, you know, I miss school, I'm gonna just stop going to work, you know. And that's why you just wanna relax and you know,
get stuff together.
Yeah,
Would you say that practicing patience and mindfulness helps with being organized?
Right. Yes, I agree.
And basically, being mindful is, if you don't know, is basically just keeping things in mind and just being considerate of different situations. I know it's hard to do that with everything. I mean, you can't be considerate of everything in the world. You can't be considerate of everyone in the world. You can't help everyone, but you can help yourself and be considerate of what you need to get done to be organized. And practice patience, because especially living in a place like San Francisco, people will get on your nerves sometimes, and like people get in your way, and sometimes you can get in your own way. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Also remember to keep organized in general with your life. If you have to, as much as possible, if you have to get your clothes out the night before, even though San Francisco weather is unpredictable, you should do that, you know, if you can. Also remember to if you're a student, set your school bag before the night before, so you won't be scrambling like I do every morning. So, you know what I'm saying? Also remember to get your deadlines done early. Like if you have a paper due on Friday at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, try to get your paper due by Thursday. If you can't get it by Thursday, then try to get it earlier through the day if you have time. You know,
and try to get everything is done as soon as possible. Right. So then later you can have more time to relax.
Exactly.
I believe in it.
You seem like you're a big person on relaxation. You seem.
Y'all
don't know. Kriz is really like a chill person. Like, let me just add that in there. Kriz is like
laid back.
Very laid back, very chill. Like, he's very soft spoken. Sometimes you probably can't hear him. You probably won't know he's there, but when he's inside, you know he's there. But he's a very laid back person. I can tell he practices patience. He's not about to get out of his element. So
control.
Right. Which number 4, going into that, is own up to your mistakes.
Own up to them.
If you did something that wasn't the best, say that. Just be like, hey, I did that, and either apologize for it or do better. You know?
Right.
Can you give us some examples? It doesn't have to be like, you know, personal examples. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want you to like overshare about something that you probably won't be comfortable about. Right. But can you give us some examples of when people need to own up for their mistakes, or some examples where you've seen that?
An example, well, like I said, I've had a bunch of organization and time management.
Mm-hmm. Have some time to think about some things.
So it goes back to accountability, where you have to own up to your mistakes, because then you're gonna get in the habit of making excuses for yourself.
Right.
Like, let's say, for example, organization or time management. And if you're gonna be that type of person that wants to play the blame game, it's not gonna help you or anybody. But if you just say, maybe I should have organized my book bag the day before, maybe I should have did my homework when like the day was assigned, you know. So
instead of blaming the teacher, probably
blaming the teacher.
Fault. She didn't give me enough time.
Yeah, blaming the dog. The dog ate my homework. Like, you know, all these excuses. You know, like cut the slack out, man, and you know, own up to your mistakes, and again, keep it level headed. You know, you don't want to go berserk. Like, oh, I missed an assignment, I'm gonna drop out of the class. Like, no, just, you know, it's gonna get better. You know, learn from your mistakes, and
Right, and if you do fail a class or something, hypothetically speaking, right?
You know, you can take it 2 more times.
That's statistics. That's in my opinion, that's statistics. But, you know, listen, you know,
we took a math class, right? It was like your second.
That was my second year.
Yeah.
The teacher failed me for that was weird. Okay, side note, the teacher failed me, right?
Let's talk about this.
Let's talk about this real quick. This is a good example of accountability, right?
Right.
So the teacher, not for me, but for the teacher. The teacher was like, oh, like you didn't pass the class. He failed me with a D, right? I think it was a D.
That's the
and
worst.
Mind you, yeah, it's like I say, that's not. You're not.
A couple percentages more, and you could have just passed.
Well, no, that's not the issue. The issue was I think that he was just assuming that I didn't know what I was doing. It was weird. And I always would show up and I always had support. And I was at the top of the class and then all of a sudden just tanked, right? And so I had to retake it. And so when I retook it with y'all, right?
Right.
I was turning in the same homework assignments over again, changing the date and adding like little things that he wanted to add because he made it difficult for y'all.
Okay.
And then I got an A.
Yeah, see, but if you would have... See, that would have never happened if you didn't take accountability, you know?
If I didn't actually just be responsible for knowing what I can and cannot do.
Right.
You know, it's difficult to actually know, like, okay, like, my behavior, I guess. Like, it wasn't like I was just misbehaving. I wasn't taking the class seriously, but I was passing the class. So I guess he wanted to teach me a moral lesson of retake the class and actually lead the class because he was like, okay, Trayvon, it's just you're going to
right.
You're going to be the leader this time. I'm like, okay, and then that's how that happened, right?
Yeah.
And so that's me owning up to my own mistakes, you know.
Yeah, it's all good. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. You held me accountable.
You got an A, man.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks. And I know you're going to get to the one that you're in right now.
Oh, yeah. Currently, I got to own up to my mistake with my math class.
Okay, we're going to have a conversation after this.
Yeah.
All right. And which leads me to number 5, ask for help. If you need help, like I've offered Kriz all semester.
Right.
For his stats class. Asking for help is not the end of the world. It's not something that you should be afraid of or fearful of. You know why I say that? It's because we all need to help each other in order to learn from each other.
Right.
You can't expect to know everything that you don't know. And I feel like a lot of culture out here too, a lot of job culture and stuff like that. It's like, oh, we're just going to throw you in and expect you to know everything, right?
Throw you in the dog pit.
And just throw you in the mosh pit, like.
In the mosh pit.
Spread it out.
Bowls.
Yeah. Exactly, and just like expect you to know everything. Like you're just a perfectionist, so that you can do it. A lot of people don't even know what they're doing. They don't get proper training,
right?
You know, and for example, with school, like you don't know what you're doing half the time. Your point is there to learn. You're not supposed to be an expert. You know, a lot of people think that they know something. It's okay to not know calculus. It's okay to not know how to do math. It's okay. It's a learning process. And there's a statistic I'm going to throw out. 1 out of every 9 African American person does not know how to do math. And I had to throw that out there. And why is that? Because we are disadvantaged in general. And I always would throw that at my teachers. I was like, I am disadvantaged. You need to help me. Like, and then they'd be like, oh my God, he's pulling the race card.
Nothing wrong with asking for help.
Exactly.
Absolutely not.
Why should people ask for help in your opinion?
In my opinion, people should always ask for help.
Right.
You know, first of all, it's a humble thing to do. You know what I'm saying? And not a lot of people this day and age are humble. Everybody,
yeah, I know that.
They want to carry such a big load on their shoulders and not ask for help. And you know, when it gets too heavy, they explode. You know, that's why you want to make sure you always ask for help. You know, for the littlest things. You know, and take advantage of the people that are trying to help you.
Right.
I'm saying, like, growing up, that's probably like one of the biggest obstacles I faced, because so many people would offer their help, and I would I try to act grown and act like I got everything under control when I really didn't, you know. Yeah. So yeah, man, don't be afraid to ask for help.
Exactly.
Like, some of the most successful people wouldn't have gotten where they're at right now if they didn't ask for help. You know, like, you'd be surprised. Help helps.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the point. And you should never. And I use strong words, and excuse my dumb vocabulary, but because you shouldn't say never in every situation.
Right,
but
right.
you shouldn't. You should get to the point to where you feel comfortable enough to ask or reach out for help from other people in some way, shape, or form for most situations. hey, I need help lifting this. Can you help me? I need help with this homework assignment. Do you know what to do? Are you able to offer support? And so that's the most important thing that I can say out of all of this, basically. And moving on to our last thing before our show ends, we can tell you some tricks and tricks on how accountability works. Can you read number one for me real quick so that can be easier?
All right. Accountability tricks your brain in a good way to believe that the desired goal or action step is truly important. Your brain assumes that if you have to answer to someone else about it, it must be very important.
Exactly. And to speak on that, have you ever felt like if somebody asks you a simple question, have you ever felt the need to feel like you need to know the answer to the question?
Yeah.
For example, if I was to never show you the bathroom, I'm like, Kriz, where's the bathroom at? And you're just like, where's the bathroom?
Pointing at a random door.
Right. Like, I think that's it,
Yeah.
And so that's a good example of how your brain kind of tricks everything into how your brain takes accountability. I can't English. I'll English today. Let's try to English. But that's a good example. Another one is when you're accountable to another living, breathing, and talking human being, you are going to have access to adjustive opinions, feedback, and gentle nudges to get back on track. There's always going to be someone that's going to have a say-so in everything, right? Or try to have a say-so, like, oh, you're a bad parent. Oh, this, that, and the third, right? But at the end of the day, there's always going to be an opinion. You got to realize that there's going to be negative and positive things about everything. But we are running out of time for today's show, you guys. If you guys want more information, please tune into YouthLINEmedia.org. It is on your screen below. I am Trayvon Smith. We'll see you next week, and thank you for coming.
All right, man. Take it.